This is your professional and animal lovers show. We believe the bond between animal lovers is incredibly strong, and that's why we support each other and we create this community, this compassionate network to support each other in business, in rescue, and in advocacy so that everyone wins.
Especially the animals.
Welcome back, everybody. Tommy D and Valerie. Oh, that rhymes. Tommy D and Valerie here. Lisa Jaeger. Lisa's been on the show before. Lisa, hello.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing
Thanks
well.
for having me.
Thank,
Welcome back.
thank you for being here. Val, why don't you take it away? Give Lisa kind of an intro a bit, and then we'll just dive right in.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so um, Lisa actually originally came as a guest on this podcast in about 4 years ago, which blows my mind that we've been doing this for 4 years. Anyway, she is an incredible person. She runs a phenomenal rescue called Jaeger's Run. She's a certified animal wildlife, um, what's the next word? Rehabilitator?
Rehabber, rescuer, transporter, whatever they need me for.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. And she, at that time, was just crowned the number one real estate agent with Douglas Elliman for all of like Long Island. She is a powerhouse. She's an incredibly hardworking person who has the biggest heart for the animals. And sadly, the reason we're all here today, we wanted to have her come back because since Happy Cat Sanctuary burnt down and its prominent person, the person that was boots on the ground every day with those animals, Chris Arsenal, tragically passed in a fire trying to save all these cats. She's been to hell and back. And I give you so much credit, Lisa. She's put her career on hold. She's put everything on hold. She's working like 15, I'm sure the first few days, probably 24 hours straight, trying to salvage and save the remaining animals that didn't burn. And some did burn, but they didn't die, and getting them vetted. And the effort and the organization of it all was massive. I don't know how you did it all. Securing a space from a generous donor, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to help with this effort, and dedicating her life right now to making sure that Chris Arsenal's dream doesn't die. So we wanted to have her here. There's been so much going on. And Lisa, I would love for you could pick it up from wherever you want, from the beginning to the middle to wherever you are right now. And please share what the ongoings are and, of course, what you need and how we can help.
So, I guess I'm going to kind of start from the beginning and try to get through it pretty quickly. I think today's day 74 or 75. And it's been nonstop. It's been 12 to 18-hour days, 7 days a week. So the public understands the enormity of this rescue, which may have been orchestrated by me, but by no means am I the sole responsible person for everything that's taken place. Since the fire, we have rescued approximately 480 cats.
Wow.
Between the upstate sanctuary and downstate here in Medford. And I don't think people realize that in a matter of 69 days, this group, and I'm not going to say I, because it's not me, this group was able to orchestrate a building, setting up 200 42 and 48-inch crates with carriers, litter boxes, sheets, towels, everything, in order to secure all 460 or 470 of these cats. They have all since been completely vetted, vaccinated, snap tested, microchipped, nails cut, treated with flea and worm treatments. Most of the cats were healthy. There were a good 100 cats that were sick. Obviously, Chris didn't take all healthy cats. He took the discarded and unwanted and the cats that nobody else wanted to take care of. So we were actually able to get all of these cats healthy. We still have a few that we're working with. Of the 466 cats, we had rescues, amazing, over 20 rescues on Long Island that stepped up and took 4 cats or 10 cats or 6 cats and took them into their rescues in order to get them adopted or put them in a sanctuary of their own where they would have a place to live. Because obviously, we had a 200 cat capacity and we couldn't handle all of them. It was a miracle. It was a miracle how, as the cats were coming in, we didn't have all 466 at once or 476 at once. We had, 178 or 180. And then, one of our trappers, Kathleen Mott Leslie, she's amazing. She was doing 90% of the trapping. She would be coming in with 20 cats, and we were looking to see if we had any empty cages. And then all of a sudden, one of the rescues came and took 15 cats, and all of a sudden we had 14 extra cages, and then we had to set another one up. And it just worked out perfectly under the circumstances that we had.
Wow.
A lot of the stuff was donated. We did raise a lot of money, but I mean, our vet bills are
Astronomical, I'm
quarter of
sure.
$1 million.
Lisa, we didn't hear that. We spoke over that. How much are the vet bills?
Probably close to $250,000 already. So since the initial
Hang on
rescue,
one second. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's important also that because I just want people to know how Lisa was incredibly close with Chris, and Chris was her best friend. And I get choked up thinking about this. I don't know if I ever told you, Lisa, but I had a fire a long time ago. It's actually like my biggest fear. And I'm certainly categorized as like paranoid and all of that because I won't even run the dishwasher before I go to sleep at night, or I won't leave a crock pot on unattended. Like, I'm nuts, right? But there's good reason for it. And the point is that Lisa was there immediately. Immediately when people heard about the fire, she showed up and jumped right into how do we help and what can I do, without any time to even grieve the horrific loss of her best friend in the worst possible way. I mean, that to me, look, there's never a good way to go, but that is so hard to even think about. So I just want everyone to take a moment and just try to understand how much strength and commitment this woman has. Go ahead.
So, yeah, we really haven't had the opportunity to grieve because we have so much work ahead of us right now. So we have to focus on that. Our end result, our end goal is to build a sanctuary here on Long Island. Chris had started building a sanctuary upstate, and it was pretty wonderful. But the problem with the upstate sanctuary, it was so remote and it was so far away. And we didn't have vets up there. We didn't have the resources we needed up there. The closest store was 30 minutes away. And Chris was going to go and spend his life up there, but there was nobody here that was willing to or could possibly give up their jobs and their home lives and their social lives and to just go up there. And then even if somebody did go up there, we don't have the resources that we have here. We have the veterinarians here. It would have been, and to run the sanctuary from here with strangers or volunteers, it didn't make sense. So our plan was originally, when this whole thing started, you'll see videos of me talking about, we're going to need $250,000 to finish the sanctuary upstate. But that was in the beginning. But once we realized how enormous that would have been and costly and dangerous for the animals, we decided to go up and bring them all down. So the first about 150 cats that we have now, originally had from the Medford location, are now in a free roaming sanctuary. We leased a commercial 4,500 square foot air conditioned commercial building, and although it's not perfect, they have a huge area. It's posted on Facebook. You can actually see the sanctuary. The other 150 that we have right now, that just came down from upstate last week, on Sunday, we had a team of vets come in and vet vaccinate, snap test, microchip, the whole 9 yards. And we're just monitoring them. And as soon as they're healthy enough, they'll go over to the indoor sanctuary. Once we have all of the cats in the sanctuary, that's when we're going to start looking on Long Island for land, which is going to be difficult.
Can I just tell you one quick thing? Because this is
Sure.
so amazing right now. My cat Phoebe, I don't expect you to remember this, but I do. My cat Phoebe, who is incredibly skittish and never really comes out for anyone but me, not even on a podcast. She came out for you, our first podcast, and she just
Oh,
jumped into my lap.
well, hey Phoebe.
Hi.
Well, Chris's spirit is with me all the time. I truly believe he's like rides shotgun with me every day.
Yeah.
I really do. I really believe that.
And I also wanted to point out like the video updates that you were doing, I couldn't believe how organized everything was. Every cat uh, crate, had a number to identify the cat. It had where they were in the process, like have they been fixed? Are they vetted? All of that. And then there were these makeshift but amazing, like surgical tables and surgical suites inside of this warehouse. I was blown away. How many surgical stations did you have going on there?
The first time we did 148 cats at once, the Suffolk County SPCA brought their
Hmm.
MASH unit in for us, which was wonderful because that's where all the cats were sedated.
Hmm.
And then they were transferred to one of six surgical stations in the warehouse. That,
Amazing.
they were completely cleaned, everything, everybody had masks, gloves. Um,
Amazing.
we did
Amazing.
148 cats in one day.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. And then everything else that goes along with it, like you said, with you needed crates, you needed towels, you needed litter boxes, you needed food, you needed bowls, and somehow you pulled it off. I hope you take a minute sometimes and just at least say, wow, I really did some amazing shit. I know you're gonna say I get that too. You certainly didn't do it alone, and I know that, but you were the orchestrator, right?
We will take pride in what we did the day we cut the ribbon on the new sanctuary on Long Island. When all of those cats have an indoor-outdoor space, the sanctuary we have for them now is pretty amazing. And I'm gonna keep saying we because every morning we have volunteers that go into the warehouse, and each cage the carrier has to be closed, it has to be covered, the carrier has to come out. All of the wee-wee pads have to be cleaned out, has to be sterilized, new wee-wee pads have to go in, the litter boxes have to be changed, the water has to be changed, he has to be given new food, the cage is closed, and then they have to go to the next one. That's every day times 150 cages a day.
My God.
These people have been there every single day. There's notes on each cage. Did the cat eat today? Is he defecating? Is he urinating? Is he sneezing? Is he coughing? If there's something that a volunteer sees that doesn't look right, like he's sleeping a lot or he hasn't eaten for 2 days, a yellow tag goes on the cage, and one of our medical people comes in once a day, walks around, checks those, and if it's a cat that needs to go to a vet, they immediately go to Dr. Heller, Jason Heller, from Northport Animal Hospital. The man is amazing. He has volunteered so much of his time and energy to helping every one of these cats. And every day I go, we have a big whiteboard when you come in, and it tells you like Dr. Berger from Long Island Spay and Neuter has 3 eye enucleations. So we had to have a couple of cats had to have one eye taken out because it had an infection or it was an old injury, or so we have that whiteboard and it tells us like what cat is going to what vet what day. Then we have a transport team that transports them back and forth to the vet. They're amazing because they have to go back and forth to Northport a lot during rush hour.
Mm.
Um,
You're
uh,
amazing too, Lisa. And just to give you a little perspective, right? If you want to laugh. So we have 3 pets in the house, 1 dog, 2 cats. And there are times where I'll be like, hey, did you feed Phoebe? Whatever. And my husband will be like, oh, I forgot. Like, it's just 3. We're on
yeah,
number
yep.
3. you
Yeah.
know, and again, it is an ongoing, incredible effort. The organization factor, the delegation, you know, you created teams of people like, okay, you guys are going to go over there. Surgical unit, you're going to go over here. You know, socializers, people who are assessing, are they friendly? Are they feral? There's a lot behind this.
Right.
A lot.
Right. Yeah. In the beginning, when this whole thing started to come together, Jim, Oliva, actually, one of my best friends, jumped in and he told us about Joe from Total Pet Care. And he said he's got a warehouse. And I'm going, okay, you know, can you go check it out? And, you know, within 48 hours, we had that place set up to the nines. We had cages set up. We had, and then, but the people of Long Island, and not just the people of Long Island, the people in animal rescue, they hit our Amazon wish list and everything just came. It just, we opened the doors and there were just boxes of litter boxes, of carriers, of, you know, and at the time, you know, we had no access to the funds because, we just, it was just so quick. At that point, we weren't even thinking about the funds. We were just thinking about, let's get this set up. How are we going to do this? And it just kind of fell in our laps. We were very, very grateful to all the people on Long Island. We have people from Australia. We have people from Africa. We have people from all over the world that are just supporting us. And the outpouring was just amazing. The volunteers that stepped up and some of the volunteers that continue to be there every single day. I have one woman, her name is Deirdre. She comes all the way from East Norwich every morning to open up to get those animals clean. She's there 5 days a week.
One of our prior guests, and also a friend now, I've seen her a few times with your videos and everything, but I know she was also close with Chris, who is Tate.
Oh my God. So
Mm.
Tate's in charge of all of our medical, Tate and Catherine Citrano. So we always, you know, there's always a note up on the board. If you see anything emergent, either call Tate, Lisa, or Catherine Citrano immediately. And if you
Mhm.
can't get any one of us, put the cat in the carrier, go right to Atlantic Coast Veterinary because it's the closest 24-hour. Tate was with Chris for many years, and she's invaluable.
She's
One of
beautiful.
she's one of the four limbs. She's one of our arms, without a doubt. She's a beautiful
Oh.
person.
Mhm.
She never gets stressed out. Well, she never shows her stress. Everybody loves her. She's a
Yeah.
great addition to the sanctuary. Yep.
No, she's a phenomenal person and
Yeah.
she's smart as a whip.
Yeah,
Uh,
she is.
so, so go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think, so the next phase of this was transferring all of these cats from upstate.
Right. So basically what happened was, you know, our first emergent situation was get the cats off the street into cages where we can monitor them, have vets look at them. We weren't even thinking about what was going to happen after we got 200 cats in a warehouse. Like we weren't even thinking about it. And a lot of people have criticized what we've done along the way, but we weren't even considering like the next step.
Mhm.
But of course we're looking for an indoor outdoor sanctuary here on Long Island.
Right.
But what
And
we
why would you, Lisa? And this is something I'll say it right to their faces. If you're criticizing this mission, and if you're criticizing these boots on the ground people that are actually doing the work, like if you get into a car accident, God forbid, do you think your first thought after you spring back from the airbag in your face and you're trying to figure out if you're hurt or not, or if you have broken bones, why would you be thinking about what's your next car going to be?
Right.
Come
Right.
on.
Well, that's it. And how this is panned out has been kind of incredible. I mean, after we had some of the rescues had come and taken some of the cats, we knew that we had 150 upstate New York, but we had these wonderful caretakers, Jim and Jen Flynn, who live 6 minutes from there, who come from Long Island. They had just moved there in December. They took over there, taking care of the cats, and we knew those cats were safe. And if they had to go to the vet, they took them to the vet. So we were just kind of put the cats upstate on the back burner because we didn't have room for another 125, 130 cats.
Right.
And then we figured, okay, so these cats have been in these cages for like 6 weeks now. 4 weeks, 6 weeks, what's our next step? We knew we couldn't just buy a piece of property and build a sanctuary. So again, here we go again. Jim Oliva had some connections. Somebody in Suffolk County had an office building that he didn't have rented. They customized the whole thing for us. We moved in there on May 30th, less than 61 days after this tragedy.
That's
Those cats
unbelievable.
were inside a free roaming sanctuary.
That's incredible.
And then as soon as we had them in the free roaming sanctuary, we immediately went upstate. We took the other 125 cats from there, brought them down. This past Sunday, we got them vetted, vaccinated, tested, microchipped, and they're being observed right now. We'll keep them there for 2 to 3 weeks until we know that they're healthy enough to go with the healthy cats that went over to the indoor sanctuary. Once they're in there and that warehouse is closed up, then we have to focus on finding a piece of property on Long Island, which is going to be very difficult. We may have to work with the town of Brookhaven or the town of Riverhead or Islip or whichever town we decide we found a piece of property. We can't do residential. We're having a hard time with agricultural because they're not considered livestock. They're allowing us L1, which is light commercial. I think it's L1, light industrial. But obviously, we don't want the cats in an industrial park. We want to have them in an area where they can go outside and see the birds and get some weather. And there's a sanctuary in Minnesota called Furball Farms. We've been in touch with them for a while. Chris was very good friends with them. They were so kind as to send us their blueprints. So we're actually looking over their blueprints, and we're going to start maybe just adjusting them and editing them a little bit. Ideally,
all right.
if we could find 2 acres here on Long Island,
Yeah.
that's what we're looking for.
Let me ask a question. You're going to know this, but a lot better than I. It's kind of a real estate question. So what you're saying is the zoning category is a challenge, right? Because they don't want you in residential and they want you in industrial. But so here's a question. Because what happened with a family property of mine is that it was zoned for, let's just say R1. I'm not sure, but in order for a developer to come in, they wanted to be able to knock down the house and build 4 homes, whatever. So they applied for the variance to do that. Is there any way that a variance can be applied for in a more desirable area, like let's say for agricultural, right? And say, okay, I understand technically this is what's said. Cats aren't considered livestock. They're also not considered, they're considered like if you have a cat like I do, they're like property.
Right.
So it's confusing. Sorry, honey. But yeah, I'm just wondering, is there some way to get like an exception made?
Well, I've actually spoken to a few of our assemblymen, and they're in support of Happy Cat Sanctuary being built on Long Island, and so is the general public. Obviously, you can tell from the outpouring of support that we received during the tragedy. Cute. So ultimately, I think what we're really focusing on right now is finding an agricultural piece of property. Now, agricultural means that the person who owned that 5 acres sold off the development rights. They can't do what your friend wanted to do. They can't subdivide anymore. Now it belongs to nature. So you're not allowed to build if there's a residential house on it, it's existing, but you can't build onto the house. You can't build another house there. But you can build a barn, but you can only build a barn if you have livestock. So, somebody said that, we'll have, 250
Goats.
and a chicken. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we could get a chicken. We actually have some chickens upstate. So
Oh, perfect.
we are definitely going to have to either do a zoning change or a variance, but I'm thinking more of a zoning change. And we're just hoping that the town works with us.
Yeah, me too. But listen, when that time comes around, please let me know, because this is what we're doing with P.A.L s, right? Advocacy is a component of what we're doing. So last meeting, it was phenomenal. I don't know how many people were there. It was a lot. And these are people from all walks of life. We had several lawyers, private citizens. HSUS was there. Actually, one of the lawyers is on the animal law committee, and a phenomenal group of people who really care. And we can support this. We can reach out to the decision makers when the time is right and say, we're advocating for this. We want this to go through, and we will spread the word like crazy.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. You guys are big out there. A lot of people respect you.
Lisa,
Oh, well, not everybody, but that's okay.
let me
I'm
ask,
okay with that, right, Lisa? Like, we don't need to be liked by everybody. It's okay.
let me
I
ask
know
you a
what that's,
question.
I know what that's like.
Lisa, tell me about tell me about a sanctuary if you could, and kind of define what that is for folks who don't know. And then on the back of that too, I'm curious, like when it is a sanctuary, is this a place I could go visit with my children or like community people? Like you have all these volunteers in this very tragic situation going on. However, what happens when there is a sanctuary? So if you could define it for those of us who don't know, and I'm being raising my hand as one of us who
Sure.
does not know. So what does that look like? And then in practice, because I'm thinking I'm the nonprofit sector connector. I'm going to guess that this will be a nonprofit organization, and if it is, it's like how do we support that? How do their grant dollars? How do volunteers come out? Like, does it become a thing where it's almost like a place where, like I say, people can visit and you can charge a fee at the door, which could be a way to drive revenue from like almost like a social enterprise model. So tell us about what a sanctuary is.
So ultimately, the cats that Chris took into his sanctuary were the unwanted, the discarded, the forgotten, the sick, the injured. A lot of these cats, I'll give you an example. People have been feeding two outdoor cats, and they're moving down to Florida, and the neighbors next door won't feed them. And obviously, they're feral cats. They can't put them in their camper and take them with them. So what's going to happen is they're going to move away, and these cats are going to have no feeding source. And ultimately, people have to understand that if you feed and house a feral cat, that cat becomes yours, and it's your responsibility. Um, so basically, what happens is they call Chris and they'll basically say, listen, we're moving. We have two feral cats. We don't, we have no place to put them. And Chris would take those cats. Now they can't be pet or touched but the sanctuary will give them a loving, warm environment, plenty of space to move, excellent food, vetting care until the end of their days. That's the most important thing that people need to understand about a sanctuary.
Outside, would they like it because these are ferals that you're talking about, they would have indoor, outdoor access? Like what did that look like and what would it look like in the future?
Yeah, so basically they would have most of it would be indoor access. There would be different areas that they could go in and out, like dog doors, cat doors.
Yeah.
And they would have outside access, but of course it would be completely screened in. They wouldn't be able to get out. And it would be dry and have a roof over it. But this way they could actually have some outdoor fresh air and a choice to be inside or outside.
Thank you. And what about visitation? Like, is that something that
So we're starting to kind of explore down the road a piece. We would have to discuss that with the board as far as how we would want. We definitely want the public involved. We would never, by the way, we would never charge. There
got
would
it?
never there would never be a fee.
All right, you got
We
it.
would be grateful for people to come and voluntarily interact with our animals. But that's going to be down the road a piece. Right now, we just want to get them safe in a safe location, and then we can kind of figure that out down the road. But of course, we would love the community to be involved, but either by volunteering or yes, maybe even having a Saturday and Sunday visitation.
Yeah.
I'm picturing already so much. I'm like,
I know.
give you more work, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, what a phenomenal place for like educational programs
Yep.
where you can teach people how to trap. You
Yeah.
can teach people about building, the outdoor shelters if they have a feral cat in their backyard. You could teach them so much. Oh my
We
gosh.
would we would love to. We were also talking about definitely opening up a TNR program there for the community,
Yes.
and have maybe an on-site a mobile van that we could purchase
Yes.
and
That's
do
cool.
them there. And the great thing is that, we would have a medical room where we could actually recover the cats for them.
Right.
You know,
TNR done right, right?
right, TNR done right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something, I know of a specific mobile spay neuter vehicle that has been sitting in the back of a shelter, a municipal shelter that never goes out into the community. And I know that because I foiled the mileage. Anyway, I don't want to name names, but it might rhyme with Schmemstead.
Nobody's gonna get that one
Well,
now. Good thing you did that.
well, I'm gonna tell people to just keep the donation dollars coming in. A lot of people are saying, well, between the property that the
Oh,
board.
they're counting your money, right?
Right, yeah, with the property the board owns upstate and the $1 million that we raised and people don't realize that, we just bought a pallet of cat food that ran us $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
We're feeding them the best food we can. They're getting nothing but bottled water right now, until we get the water filtration system, set up. The vet bills, the lease on the building is going to run us a lot, a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I'm not going to say how much, but a lot in the triple digits for
I
1
love
year.
it when people, I
Yeah,
love
for
it when
1 year.
people
But
count other people's monies and try to
it's
act like
it's
they know what it
constant, right?
costs.
Right, but
Yeah.
people don't realize the amount of money that we've put out already and then what's coming down the pipeline. And we just always want to be prepared. We want to make sure that, we always have enough to make sure the cats are safe, the rent is paid. We may even be open to leasing a property for 50 years. We'd love to own our own property if we could. But we need to raise as much money as we can to keep this,
Oh my God. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah,
I, okay. Sorry.
at a moment.
I cannot lose this thought, and I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but long story short, we had a lawyer, you may even know her. We had a lawyer on here. She sits on John DiLeonardo's board, Bonnie. Okay. And long story short, on the episode that we had with her on, she was talking about how she helped a sanctuary secure a lease. There's a lease you can do for 99 years, which makes the payments really, really small. And maybe something like that is available on Long Island.
Yes, that's potentially it could be more financially advantageous for us to lease them.
Yeah,
Lisa,
totally.
I drive around this island and you would think that, this whole place is developed and it's not. Like there's plenty of space. I'm not saying we can access it, but there's plenty of space that I see on Long Island, specifically as you get out into Suffolk County. Do you have sort of a wish list of where you want to be and develop something like this?
I would love to be in Manorville because it's a
Okay.
very Manorville or Baiting Hollow, Calverton. There's so much space there around the old Grumman area. I mean, we could tuck ourselves away in there nice and quietly and not, be offensive to the public as, the towns are trying to keep us from being understand something. Chris started 100 years ago, back in
Mm.
I think 2007 with two cats.
Yeah.
Did he know on his half acre? Did he know that he was going to have, you know, 500 plus cats in a sanctuary on a half an acre? No. But that's what ended up happening, and that's why he had to move. He had to get out. He had to expand.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I would love 5 acres or something like that in the middle of Manorville or one of those bigger areas in an area where it's not offensive to the public. Yeah, so that's our
And
goal.
the other thing too, though, is that, I don't have to say this to you. I know you know this, but once you gain a reputation of someone to turn to help the cats, I'm sure it happens with all animals, but specifically with the cats, because there's such an overpopulation crisis, like people will come to you. And I know with Chris, people just dumped cats on him. Like cats would just show up out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and of course, because now you have a man with this huge heart for the animals, mega compassionate person, he's not going to turn them away.
But I think that was Chris's biggest problem. His biggest problem was his big heart. People would say I've got 7 feral cats, and he'd say, can you make a donation? His requirement or fee for a cat to come into his sanctuary was $2,000, but he never saw that. He never saw that. People would make a $500 donation and drop 4 cats off, or even if they gave him that much money. And don't forget, that's for the life of that cat. That 7-year-old cat is going to go to 17, so 10 years of food, shelter, vetting. I mean, that $500 is gone the first year. So it was very difficult for him to take. It's not that he wouldn't take money. If you offered, he would. I mean, we had done a big rescue out in Port Jefferson, and he took 36 cats from us. We also cut him a check for $65,000 that my rescue raised to cover the expenses of those cats. Plus, we helped him. We did all the I'm not going to say the word Jaeger's Run Animal Rescue did all the vetting, vaccinating, snap testing, microchipping. He didn't have to pay for any of that. We made sure all of those cats were the healthiest cats that were in his sanctuary. At that time, about a little over a year ago, we started documenting. And I just want to add, so everybody understands, every cat that's come into this new sanctuary in Holbrook has a number. They've been logged into a database, their age, their weight, if they had any medical issues, and where they went. So we know where every single cat, every one of the 475, or I don't have the exact number of cats that came across our door. We know where every one of those cats are. Thanks again to Jim Oliva from Cappuccino's. He's got a new program called One Click Rescue. He's actually introducing it to the rescues all over the United States. And it's pretty innovative. Yeah, I mean, we can actually just walk up to a cat with a microchip scanner, scan it. If he's got a stuffy nose, we can scan it. I can pull it up on his program, and it'll tell us, oh, that's Happy Cat Sanctuary number 145. That cat was 8 years old. He had stomatitis and had 3 teeth removed and an upper respiratory infection. He left the sanctuary, came in healthy this date. And then when we pull him, at least we know exactly what we're dealing with. It's just not, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
That is amazing. We're gonna have that guy on the show.
Yeah, Jim, you definitely have to have him on the show. He owns Cappuccino's Cafe. He also runs Feral to Family Rescue. The man is an amazing human being, and he takes care of things in between surgeries. Like he's like one minute he's like in the hospital having like his back fixed, and like the next day he's like sitting at his desk online helping us with a cat. And
oh my God,
you should definitely keep him on your back burner. But he's done a lot to get all of this organized. He was the one who stepped up and put the database up for us the minute those cats started coming in, that photographs were taken, they were getting logged in right away.
Amazing, Lisa.
Pretty amazingly organized. It's amazing now. I mean, like I said, 69 days, we had 470 cats in our database already vetted.
Lisa, if somebody wants to be supportive now of what's going on in the work, how do they keep in touch and focus on what you guys are doing and support?
Well, we still have a GoFundMe up. They can donate that way. They can also send checks directly to Happy Cat Sanctuary, and that's P.O. Box 688, Coram, New York 11727. I think that's really it right now until we get our new website set up.
Okay. All right,
well, can I ask you, are there any to end on a positive note, I hope any like success stories in terms of like maybe some of the ferals turning friendly or adoptions or anything like that?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when the vets were vetting them, they had to sedate them first. And before they sedated them, obviously they had to get them in a situation where they could sedate them. And on the paperwork, they would write either 1, 2, or 3. 1 being friendly, 2 being middle of the road, 3 being very feral. And we've actually had quite a few 3s turn out to be 1s, and quite a few 1s turn out to be 3s. But you'd be very surprised how these animals, they're used to being around humans. I mean, they walked around Chris and Joe you know, at the sanctuary all the time. So even though they weren't so approachable, they understand that they're being helped. I truly believe that they know that they're safe.
Yeah, I think
Especially
they
the
do
ones in the sanctuary now. And yeah, we have a couple that'll actually just walk right up to you, that normally wouldn't have in the past.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think once we get them all in that sanctuary, it's funny story. So, we're there from 7 o'clock in the morning. We usually leave there around 10 o'clock at night. We have a couple of different shifts that come in. And the late shift, they turn the lights out and then we leave one light on in the middle to give them a little bit of lighting. And
Mhm.
we sit at the desk in the front and we're really, really quiet. And you can hear them talking to each other. You'll
Aw.
hear one like make a meow, and then like 20 cages back, you'll hear another one. And it's funny
Aw.
because those two cats will have a conversation. They
Mm,
were probably bonded
mm.
sanctuary. So we
Aw.
obviously we want to make sure they're healthy and
Mhm.
ready to go into the new sanctuary, but we can't wait to get these cats into the sanctuary because and we have all these in these houses that they can actually we have 182 houses I think now that they can actually go in. Instead of taking individual houses, we'll like lift the top. There'll be like four in one house. There'll be
Ah, they
three in
like to
another house.
cuddle.
So
Aw,
they all sleep together. And
that's
it's really funny. A
beautiful.
lot of people will say, "Oh, I can't have another cat. My cat will fight with it." I say to them, "Come to the sanctuary." They don't fight with one another. They're family, and
Aw.
there'll be over 250 of them together. So it's pretty interesting to see feral cats get along, and sometimes makes me wonder why the human race can't follow in their footsteps.
I agree, and I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, I love you and I thank you for everything that you're doing. And I'm still very sad and heartbroken over Chris, but his legacy continues because of you guys. And you have so we have so much to be grateful for through your efforts. And I mean, I just adore you, and I hope that you get to meet Phoebe in person.
Hi, Phoebe. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to tell you, the board of Happy Cat Sanctuary is going to see this through to the very end. And it's
That's
going
right.
to be amazing.
I'm
And I
coming
hope
in for the ribbon cutting.
you better. I was going to say, we're going to fly you in. I'm going to pay to have you come for the ribbon cutting. Bring Phoebe too.
That's beautiful. All right, so a couple of things we got to wrap up right here. And this is, first of all, Lisa, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for all you're doing. And I want to read something. This is by the great Theodore Roosevelt, and it's called "Man in the Arena." It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or whether doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the woman. We're going to switch it. The credit belongs to the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds with great enthusiasm, the great devotions, and spends herself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows at the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. That's from Theodore Roosevelt, one of
I
our
love that. Thank you so much.
You just made me cry, Tommy DeVito.
It does a lot. It does. It
You know
does.
what? It's
I don't think a
real
lot of
freaking
people.
easy to sit on the sidelines and complain and tell somebody else how they should be doing it. And I'm not as eloquent as Mr. Roosevelt, but that is who does the work. It is the woman in the arena. Thank you very much, Lisa. I leave
Oh, fun fact.
fun fact.
Theodore Roosevelt has or had a
Cats.
sanctuary on Long
Yes.
Island.
Yes. Yes. And I think he had a cat too.
I,
I don't
Probably.
think it was a cat sanctuary, but it is a
all I have to
No.
say, all I have to say to that is bully. Those of you who know, you know, right? I leave you with this: the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you,
Amen.
Valerie. Make it a great day.
Amen. Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. Thanks for
Thank you
having me
so
again.
much.